Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the speedrun stats. Really nice. These wonderful speedrunners have done a lot of work. The winner is under 3 hours, but we don't want to just fantasize about who clears the fastest, and congratulations to all these guys as well. More importantly for us, a takeaway on this channel is we want to apply it and perhaps use it for ourselves, knowledge that we can gain so that we can speed run faster the next new league and stuff like that as well. Now let's jump in with the analysis of the data. This is more of a data analysis version. I'll share with you my perspective. We'll be doing this for all 3 of the speed runs if you guys want more of such content as well, so that we can actually compare to prepare us for a new league, because these guys are testing for us which is actually the best way to reach the end game in a new league environment, at least in the current meta. So first things first, the biggest, probably like one of the most key things that I noticed is there is a significant outlier in terms of a speedrunner. To have a 30 or 40 minute gap between the first and second place is really quite incredible. Apparently, from what the community is saying, is that Warrior is able to use the shield bash, run around, they can leap around, so it does save a lot of time. If you skip monsters, he was able to clear at level 28 on a level 40 plus map as well. So that probably saved a lot of time if you just skip monsters. Warriors outperform. We will look at the stats as well in a little bit. But more importantly, what I did here is I split up all the different classes into account. So there were top 1,000 people, not all of them cleared, a lot of them started push in further, so it does show popularity. Over here, what we notice is roughly an even split in terms of popularity. More on that in a bit, but the key thing that we need to know is the people who cleared Act 3, which means completed the challenge. Doesn't mean they want a reward, it just means that they completed. So over here, you have a very nice distribution of classes. What do we observe? Firstly, Chronomancer, Blood Mage and Javelin Legionnaires are the most inefficient if you are trying to push for time. People didn't like Ascending if they were playing any of these 3 classes to go in them, which means they probably don't help you speed up the clear time. They don't help benefit you if you are trying to push to endgame the fastest in a new league environment as well. So Chronomancer, Blood Mage, Javelin, bottom 3 Ascension classes. Now the favorite ones so far are Infernalist and Deadeye. Now you must understand that in order to ascend, you actually have to go and do the Trials of Sekimas, which might waste a lot of time. So the fact that Infernalist and Deadeye, you can see 14% and 5.8% respectively, went to quote unquote waste their time to ascend instead of clearing the Act 3, shows that these classes are actually very powerful. These Ascensions are super powerful, that these speedrunners were actually willing to waste time instead of clearing content. So that's a huge thing to note as well. These 2 classes probably are the better Ascensions in an early new league environment, as we are seeing here in these early stats as well. Chronomancer, Blood Mage, Javelin, not that popular as maybe early league classes from what we are seeing too. Definitely a key outperformance by Warrior in the early game. I still remember in the early days when Path of Exile 2 just released in early access, people were saying Warrior is the shittiest class, but what we are seeing here is Warrior is definitely doing a lot better in the early game, likely because armor maybe blocks a lot of smaller instances, which is the thing that kills you in the early game when there's not too much gear. Armor does make up a lot of the early game performance. Later on, of course, once we hit end game, middle game, go into cruel and stuff, likely it's not going to scale very well, but for the sake of whatever it is, Warrior is basically the easiest classes to clear Path of Exile 2 in the early game. So it is quite interesting how the split is. Next up, of course, I went to basically convert all of these special Ascensions and stuff, because it's not really very helpful for us to see the split in terms of classes, because you can always choose later on which class you want. So by taking this pie chart and I just slam them all back into their original unascended modes, we can see that the split here is actually very nicely, evenly split out of the 156 people who actually cleared the content for the race. So interestingly, one important thing that I need you to know is don't be fooled by the percentages. Doesn't mean because 16%, 13%, 16% here, they are all even, so every class is equally powerful and stuff. Don't be fooled by that, because the prize was rewarded for each class. So generally people will be like, I'm going to play this class, I'm going to play that class because I have an equal chance of winning the prize in their opinion. So don't be fooled. The people who cleared, this is just a split by classes. Prizes were awarded for the winner of each class. But more importantly than that is the deviations in terms of the percentage that I care about. Because in an ideal world, all things equal, they should have all an equal splitting, an equal weightage for each and every single one of them. But that's not what we are seeing here. We don't see an equal weightage because some classes like your Witch significantly outperforms, 23.7%, almost double the lower classes, which means Witch is very, very strong in the early game. A lot of people are choosing it as one of their desired classes to actually go for the early game. Sorcerers and Monks underperform in terms of popularity. Not many people play them in the early game as well. This could implicate a lot of things. It also implicate if generally people prefer to play certain classes to push in the early game. These classes might have a little bit more supply of equipment, but of course we will see that in a little bit. We'll talk about all of that soon as well. So these are some early analysis as we are digging the data, but that's not all, right? Anyone can do pie charts and just do a quick, simple breakdown. It's not too hard. More importantly, I want to show you an average clear level that is very important. For some of us, we see a level 45 map in Act 3 normal, and we think that we need to beat around the bush a little bit, whack the monsters in the map to grind and get certain levels, which actually wastes us a lot of time if you think about it. But if you look at the distribution of the people who actually cleared Act 3 normal in a speedrun context, these guys are clearing it at most around 42 levels, and on average most people are actually clearing it under 40 in an above 40 map as well. So if you guys are finding yourself like you're grinding and stuff, maybe it's just a gear tuning issue. Once you tune that gear, you just switch it out from the trade side when you're in a new league environment. You should be actually pushing clearing Act 3 normal at level 38, and you save a lot of time rather than just trying to grind it up to like level 45 just because you think that's the recommended level. So you can see here, most of the players, 156 of them, are actually already pushing the Act 3 normal at around level 39. 38, 39 is more or less a nice safe mark. So that's a very, very interesting stat. Don't have to grind all the way to 45. About level 40 you clear Act 3 normal. And importantly also, it took players on average, or not really on average, but the range was between 3 hours and 8 hours to clear the 156 of them. So you can actually clear it in one day, or even less than a day. For example, if you come off after work, I don't know what time that maybe it's 6 o'clock. You could even like finish it by midnight if you were to like grind non-stop and like eat all your grinding as well. Especially because you can also play in a team in a new league environment. You don't have to play SSF purely versions. So that is something very interesting as well. You can actually clear it in one sitting, even if you are like working on the day itself. If you really wanted to grind, you can clear the entire Act 1 to Act 3 normal. So that is critical information. That is also very useful, especially if you select the right classes. It's really helpful too. So next up, of course, I want to give you a breakdown of the levels based on classes. So out of all the people who cleared, the 156 of them who cleared the first race, we have the average levels of Warrior being the lowest, Mercenary as well as Monks. Now interestingly, these are strength-based classes which all have some sort to do with armor, and maybe being slightly chunkier as well, because strength gives HP when you don't have excellent gear. Remember, this is on an SSF solo play environment, which means you can't trade with people, you can't like buy off good gear from trade side and stuff. So you're purely using RNG and to drop good weapons and stuff as you are playing the game. So these classes generally do with the worst of items. You probably just need a junkier gear and they are able to still clear quite well. Whereas on the other hand, if you look at the other three classes, Witch, Ranger and Sorceress, one thing that they all have in common is they are all not strength-based characters and they are relatively squishy characters until you of course get your energy shield stacking, your mana stacking and whatever not. But in the early game, none of us have that. So squishier classes generally need small levels, so you might waste a lot more time like banging your head around on monsters trying to level up a bit more. As you can see, more of them tend towards 40, whereas your strength classes can actually clear Act 3 normal very early on, like on average 37 for most of the strength classes, and your warriors can clear it one whole entire level earlier. Depends on how long you take to level up, maybe an hour or maybe 30 minutes. That is actually a significant time saving of spending not bashing your head against monsters. So that is very interesting to know as well for those of you who are planning. Of course, more importantly than not is these data is set in current meta, current league environment. And once people know the first day's statistics, it will affect the second day's race statistics as well. And that's what I'm interested to see. I want to see deviations, which I will analyze for you as well. What are the changes between both of them? But at this point, if you are interested to know how to take all these information and translate it to your next league so that you are able to outperform, check out this video right here. I think you'll find it really interesting as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you found this video helpful. More coming for the future races, and see you guys in the next video.